The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas. Watch live at 5 p.m. weekdays on YouTube. 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Good evening, this is Paul Cooney with Charlie Mulgrew. Welcome back, Charlie. And also welcoming back, we've not seen him for 4 or 5 months, the Kilmarnock coach, Billy Dodds. Billy, good evening.
Good to be back, Paul. I've been away, obviously, working hard elsewhere, but it's great to be here. Looking forward to the programme.
What a season it's been, chopping and changing at the top in many of the clubs. Some clubs wish they had made the change, they didn't. Your old club Celtic made the change a few times, Charlie. Can you remember a season like this? And congratulations to Celtic, winners of the double.
Unbelievable season. Feels like 4 seasons. I said it in Premier Sports. It feels like 4 seasons into one when you think back to Brendan Rodgers was the manager at some point in this season, which is crazy to think about. Then obviously Martin O'Neill comes in, Nonsi comes in, Martin O'Neill's back again, and the team I've never seen a team play as badly and win a double. But it's crazy to think that you can play like that and win games, but it just shows the spirit that Martin O'Neill brings, that the boys have got. Not everybody deserves credit in the staff, and an amazing achievement. It's got to be Martin O'Neill's greatest achievement to drag the squad. We see all the injuries, we see Jota out, Carter Vickers out, Johnson out for large spells, a keeper away, one arm for most of the season with a bad injury, no striker, players that thought they were leaving like Maeda and then go through bad spells and then come back on and he gets them on side, tinkering with wingers to get the best out of them, bringing them on at half time, 20 minutes here and there, trying to find the best solutions. It's an unbelievable job Martin O'Neill's done, and it's got to be his greatest achievement as a Celtic manager.
Is he going to be there next season? What do you think? 0808 17 17 700. We hear from Martin O'Neill. Billy, I'm just thinking a lot's happened in your life as well. It's just 3 years ago you were the manager bringing out Inverness Cally Thistle against Celtic, and you lost as well. Not unlike the game at the weekend, although I think you ran them closer. For Dunfermline, it wasn't they gave them a fright, maybe too strong, but in the second half they were difficult.
Charlie's just talked over probably a 4-month period there, and you're asking me about 3 years. It does feel like 3 years and some. But no, a great day, and I'm sure Neil Lennon enjoyed it to an extent. You don't like losing. You try and rally your team because they are the championship team, to do as best as they can, make them believe, and miracles at times do happen, but it was just a step too far for Dunfermline. And in my case with Inverness, it was the exact same. But you have to say they put up a hell of a show, and my Inverness boys at the time did so as well. So it was a good final. I watched it. You felt as if Dunfermline, if they had a little bit of a go earlier, they might have got somewhere, but you can understand why they defended as well, because you want to try and stay in the game for as long as you can, put Celtic under pressure and see where it takes you. But inevitably it was just a step too far, Paul.
Martin O'Neill, he's a one-off, Billy, isn't he? You came up against him quarter of a century ago when he was in his pomp at Celtic. But the record books, when you look back, he came back in 2025-26 and he won the double.
Yeah, and also come up against them when they beat us 3-2 when we first went to Kilmarnock. And,
so close.
He come in after the game. Not a lot of managers do nowadays. It was a thing of the past, and he come in and he said, you could have been 4 or 5 up, and we were really good that day. It was the start of something, but he still keeps his dignity and he still makes sure, and I think he would have done so in defeat as well, but he come in, had a word with Neil and myself, even though it's like, it's hard to take at the time, but you understand from a man of his stature what it means, and you take out of it what you can and try and make yourselves better. But showed a true bit of class becoming into the dressing room, the staff room after the game.
Charlie, I saw you with him in the gantry after the game on Premier Sports, and you said to him, what about next season? What did you take from your chat with him?
He was meeting Dermot Desmond, he said, so I don't know if that meeting's been. It'd be interesting to know what comes for that meeting. I think
not yet.
I think that Celtic could do a lot worse than having Martin O'Neill there to steady the ship for another year. There was a caller on last week and he made a really good point, and I agree with him. I think there's so much to be done at Celtic for board level down the way, recruitment department. There's a lot of rebuilding to be done, and I think that Martin O'Neill would be a steady influence for another year. As I said, give him some money, let him spend it, and in the meantime sort out the stuff in the background. And I think that's not a quick fix, Paul. There's so much to be done, and Martin O'Neill's proved that he's still got it. Along with Sean Maloney, Mark Fotheringham, Callum McGregor understated. I think his role in it all, such a huge influence in there as well. So yeah, I get the feeling that he would potentially stay. I get that feeling. I don't want to speak for him. That's the feeling I got, and I've got a funny feeling he might stay. But
do you think he'll want to do the wholesale, Charlie? It's hard enough, like for a 74-year-old, I think, it is to stay at the club, get the football side sorted out, see if you can get a winning team on the pitch. But while you're there, on you go. Can you sort it all upstairs as well? And it's a big task.
I wouldn't let him sort it out. I'd obviously have him advising and sort of get his opinion. But I think Celtic have to sort it out. Let Martin O'Neill deal with the team, obviously. Get bits of his opinion, but sort it out. Get our recruitment department in place and get all the kind of ducks in a row going forward. There's so much that's needing done there.
It might be Holiday Monday, but there's so much on the go. We're going to hear from Martin O'Neill. We're going to talk Lawrence Shankland in a moment or two, who could just be 24 hours away from crossing from the east of Scotland to his boyhood team, Rangers, which we've talked about on this channel on the Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas for a long, long time. And also, huge game tonight in Paisley, St Mirren against Partick Thistle, poised at 1-1. I want to know what Billy Dodds and Charlie Mulgrew think about it. 0808 17 17 700. Alan will be with us shortly, a Rangers fan who wants to make a few points to the guys. But this is Martin O'Neill saying, look, first of all, he's really enjoyed being back.
It is really a nice feeling, I must admit. Really, really nice. And I thought that those days would have gone, and just so pleasing. I would say it's right. I can't obviously remember properly my spell way back. You know, I can remember certain games, I can remember certain things, but here, because of the circumstances, this is particularly special, obviously, and last Saturday being the case in point.
What a finish to the season it has been for him. He's been in the thick of it. He said, I need a week or so to think about, to calm down. But who doesn't? Danny Rowe said the same thing last week. Said, I'm a bit tired just now. Who wouldn't be?
And I think when it comes to summer, Martin will remember the good bits of the season and how he won the double. He probably forget about how hard it was and what he had to go through. And that probably just keeps him coming back. But I think that I asked him on the TV what that bit of magic was, and not to give the players credit. I wanted to hear what is it that he was bringing, and he basically just said it's a winning mentality. He just wants to win. Sounds very simple, but that belief that he can win and he can get late results must be so strong within him for the players to feel it, to get over the line. Because taking nothing away from the players, but Martin O'Neill had a huge influence on that, obviously.
He talks about keeping it simple, doesn't he, Billy, instead of some of the modern tosh that's in the game. That really, I don't know how you feel about it. You're a modern manager, but I think it's a bit of old school in you as well, isn't it?
No, definitely. Yeah. But I would like to think a mix of both, where you get a bit old school, you can't beat it, but you have to go with the flow. You have to modernise, or you get left behind. That's kind of where I'm at. But I think Celtic needed a Martin O'Neill, and it was proven. I mean, when you think back, twice in a season, it was proven. He gets them going, then leaves. Then it all goes wrong again, has to come back and picks them up. And that's what Charlie's talking about, that winning mentality. I'm going to drive standards into good standards, winning standards. That's what I'm expecting all the time. And it played out for Celtic, because there was times in the season, even near the end, after an hour defeat, towards the end of the league's campaign, I just thought, they're done now. They're done now. Even with Martin in charge, and he went again and he got them going and got them over the line, because they looked like a team that were far from champions.
I think as well, when you're at Celtic, every single day matters in the training ground, because when you're going through a bad spell, or you need a late goal, you fall back on your habits, and your habits every single day, driven by the manager, driven by the staff, and by Callum McGregor, who understands what it is to be a Celtic captain, a Celtic player. He understood at that game on Saturday that the league was done, move on. Now we go and win a cup, and if we don't get complacent, and if we don't, then we'll be failures, because that's basically it. You're always living your life on a knife's edge at Celtic, and Callum McGregor understands that. He's played a huge part, and again, Martin O'Neill's driven these standards from within also, and you fall back in your habits when the times that it's toughest, and you're needing a goal. You end up with the attitude that you can go and get it.
Ready for some phone calls, Billy?
Yeah.
0808 17 17 700. Alan's on the line, a Rangers fan. Hi, Alan. Good evening.
Hi, how you doing?
We're
good.
I
just want to say congratulations to Billy first for keeping Kilmarnock in the league. Him and Neil did a brilliant job.
Thank you.
Now, what I'm phoning for is, I've been watching like a lot of the Go Radio and scoreboard and all that, and the Rangers supporters coming on moaning about what happened for the Celtic Hearts game or the Motherwell Hearts game and stuff like that. The decisions that went to be VAR. We should be more concerned about what happened to our club for the last 5 games, because we absolutely folded.
I think so.
I just wondered,
Sure.
and the Rangers supporters should be more concerned about that than the VAR decisions that went whatever way it went.
Billy, what would you say? There was such a pile on about it, and we said it on here. Why are other fans not? You're entitled to an opinion, but you're not worried about Rangers losing 4 on the bounce.
Exactly, and they come on here and they come on the shows and that, and they're moaning about decisions that went this far.
Yeah.
And we should be more concerned about the last 4 games, because Rangers was absolutely terrible.
Billy,
I think most teams in the division would have their moans and groans about VAR this season. I think there's been plenty said about it. I think Rangers have got to look within before they look out, in terms of the way it happened a few seasons ago as well, when the title was in their hands. Go to Ross County, go to Dens Park, win the game and you win the title, and they couldn't go over the line there. So there's something missing, and you can see by the potential signing of Lawrence Shankland that they're trying to fix that, identify what it takes, the culture of the club, the culture of just playing in the intensity of Scottish football, what it's going to take to go over a line when it comes to getting so close as he did again this season. So it's a fair point Alan makes. I think, there's certain decisions where you can feel hard done by, but as I say, a few clubs feel that, and I think it's a case of, look in, you could have done better to get you over the line at times.
do you think Danny Rule got away with it in some ways at the end of the season, given, and it was a collapse, wasn't it? Because Celtic, it's the poorest they've been in a long time. That would be fair.
They'll look at a better chance.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the worst Celtic teams ever, and there was 1 game away from winning the treble. So what's that say about Rangers after the money they spent? And that's what I'm saying. The support should be more concerned about our club than what's happening with Celtic and Hearts and Motherwell and that, the decisions there. We should look at the last 4 games, because Rangers were absolutely terrible. Every time there's pressure for Rangers, they collapse.
But Danny Rule says it's not mentality. Charlie, what did you see looking at Rangers?
When I look at Rangers, I think there's a lot of players that are happy to be Rangers players. And I think that to be a Rangers player, a Celtic player, you need to win. Look, being second, being third is last. You need to win. So it's not a case of, I'm a Rangers player. And living in Glasgow and being a Celtic or Rangers player, you're idolised by the fans. And it's easy to get caught up in that, right? I'm a Rangers player, I'm doing well, like Fernandes linked for £30 million moves. But at the end of the day, you're judged on what you win and how you go about. Like, for example, you're 1-up at Tynecastle. That should have finished minimum. That back line should have made sure, by organising, by talking, by showing a winning mentality, get your body in front of shots and defend your box. That should have finished 1-0. And you see it out, an ugly victory, and you go, right, let's move on. Far too easy. They were brushed aside by Hearts in the second half. And then shaking hands with our players and laughing and joking after it. It's a wee bit. For me, it's not enough players that understand what winning is and what it takes to play for a club like Rangers.
Billy, you were there at Rangers this time last year, and so you got to know Andrew Kavanagh a little bit, I would think. He was just coming in, and he recognised his mistakes, Kevin Thelwell, Russell Martin, but he said for next season, it's Danny Rule, we're not going to rinse and repeat. They can't just change it, but they want more of a Scottish spine. So is this the start of it with Lawrence Shankland?
I think the Rangers fans would like to think so. I think he's taking the bull by the horns a little bit and saying, well, we know now what's required. It's about making sure you know what the culture of the club is. I look at Hearts, right? We're talking about Celtic and Rangers, but I look at Hearts, and for me, Hearts got the balance of their squad right this season, and they're in the title race because of that. Yes, Celtic weren't performing to what they could be. Rangers probably weren't performing to what they can be as well. But they still had to be in a title race and accumulated some amount of points, Hearts, over the season as well. And that comes from realising the intensity of Scottish football, realising the culture of Scottish football, realising that the players that are going to get your squad together, that when you're not playing that well, they'll win games for you. And I think Hearts had that. I mean, you go through their squad. I mean, you've got your Halkets, your Finleys at the back. You can throw in Spittle in the midfield, Shankland up front, Milne at left back. I mean, there's so many Scottish type players. Well, they are Scottish, but it's that intensity with Scottish football. But then you get the British type players, and then you throw in like a Devlin, Australia, who has got that mentality, and then you get the foreigners and you drop them in and you drip feed them, and they bring something else to it. I think looking at Rangers and being there when I was there, they probably had not enough Scottish type players, and at least Andrew Kavanagh is identifying that now and he's trying to do something about it, and I think it'll help Rangers. I really do.
I think just to back your point up there, Billy, look how well the Scottish players are doing in Italy, and it's mainly because they're bringing that intensity. The Italian players are a bit laid back, and I think Scottish players get put in the mix, and I think it's something different, and they actually end up being captains and leading big Italian teams. So that Scottish mentality is something we should be proud of.
True. Alan?
Yeah, I just don't think Danny Rose should be the manager for Rangers. I really don't. You know when it's bad for you when the Celtic supporters start singing his name, a game he's not even in. You would never hear the Celtic supporters singing Walter Smith and that. I just don't think Danny Rose is a guy to take Rangers forward to the title. I mean, he came in, and it couldn't have been a worse situation. So obviously Rangers won't improve, but when it came to the big games, we just folded. And he said it's not mentality problem. Danny Rose is not should not be the manager in the summer. We shouldn't have given him any more money.
Alan,
we should just cut him off, and then get somebody in it who will take us to the title.
What would you guys do, all three of you, if Danny Rule is wanted in Germany? This has been mentioned. We heard Wolfsburg 2 weeks ago. We heard Leverkusen, others. He's young. His family are over there. If he did go and accept an offer where he's highly rated, what would Rangers do? Would they go for Derek McInnes? Did they go back to Barry Ferguson, Billy Dodds, Neil McCann?
It would be interesting to see what they did do.
That's no disrespect to Kilmarnock, who
it would be interesting.
Watch yourself,
exactly, I know.
It would be. I mean, I don't know. I don't. You've named a few names there that could do a really good job, and have done so.
Because they must be doing a scenario. If it does happen, there's always planning. There has to be succession planning.
But I think the bottom line is I think Danny Rowe's going to be there, Bill. I think he is. I think he's going to be given a wee bit more time. Now he needs to hit the ground running, so it's going to be based on. He said he needs leaders. I believe he started with Shankland. That's a good start. That's a right good start. If he gets in the building, then they've got a leader, a Scottish player who plays number 9. He can put the ball in the net. He ticks a lot of boxes. So if he continues on that way of signing, then he has a good start to the season. Then things can change quickly for him, and people might be backing him.
Alan, what would you do if it's not Danny Rule? If he decides to go somewhere else?
I would probably say I would probably go for Derek McInnes.
Right.
We should go and get him because I think Danny Rose maybe lost the dressing room the way he treated Tavernier. The other Rangers players there's a lot of Rangers players that was not happy the way that ended. And for me, I just don't think that Danny Rose is the answer for us. What we've got to give him a lot more money, spend in the summer, and then come October time, get rid of him. If we don't do well.
Can you imagine Hearts fans listening to this show?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
they'll not be happy. Shankland's in the departure lounge, and if Derek McInnes came, difficult for you, Billy, but I'm going to ask you.
Think Derek McInnes was come at Rangers?
Yes. I have no clue, but I think
he was offered it before, wasn't he?
Twice.
He's
been offered it twice. So
it's only my
why
instinct.
would he then take it now, I wonder?
Well, it's a bigger club. He's come so close this season, so agonisingly close.
It'll be something burning inside him to go next year, won't it? And he knows that'll be hard with Hearts.
If Rangers came...
I don't know. Listen, it might. Only Derek McInnes could sit here and answer that, because, yes, there's a possibility he might say, absolutely, bring it on. This is the moment I've been waiting for a long time to go and win trophies as a manager, but he nearly got there with Hearts, so he'll be thinking, can he do it again? I think it'll be tough for Hearts next year, not because they'll not put together a good team. I just think with Rangers and Celtic, I don't think the two of them, probably one of them, will be as bad as what they were this year, and they still got over the line, Celtic. So I think that was Hearts' best chance to go and win the Scottish.
And there'll be an expectation on them next year, won't there?
Yeah. It's different, isn't it? Others will be chasing Hearts.
And if they start with I'd just say that in the first couple of results that something doesn't go their way, which can happen to Celtic or Rangers, they then begin to maybe question themselves if they've lost a couple of players or whatever. So it's going to be a huge mentality shift for them next year.
There's a target on their back. You think, oh, they were so close. You beat them, that's your bar set.
Yeah.
Billy, do you want to say thank you down that camera to Alan, the Rangers fan, for Finlay Curtis?
Yes, not to Alan.
No, I know.
But as a Rangers fan, of course, but to Rangers, of course, you would like to think it was a really good loan deal for everybody concerned. He wouldn't have been a Scottish internationalist if he doesn't come out and loan, because he wouldn't have had the game time at Rangers. So, but that's all testament to Finn and the type of boy he is. That boy walks into a dressing room and lights it up through. A lot of people would think it's cockiness, but it's not. No. He's such a nervous character that anything would come out, but the boys just laugh at him, and he just walks into a dressing room as if, and hard in prose, and just speaks, and you actually feel it saying, Finn, going to be quiet for a minute, wee man. But he's a brilliant kid, and he is taking giant strides as well. It's not because you weren't sure. We knew there was a good player in there. We worked with him. Neil worked with his crossing with him, but he just kept jumping. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes to the World Cup and he gets a bit of a game and he just takes in his stride and he becomes a starter.
Wow.
That's the type. That's the strides he's taken.
Alan, I'm sure you'd want to see him back at Ibrox. Jamie Morrison's on from Kilmarnock, and he and Toby want him to stay at Killie next season. So what would you say, Alan? Yeah. Alan? I think he's gone. We've lost him.
I finished him with saying I want Finn to stay at Kilmarnock.
You'd love him for next season, wouldn't you? If that's possible.
Of course. Yeah. I think Rangers will be under a bit of pressure because he's done so well to go and play him, but will he get the game time he requires to keep on evolving? I'm not so sure, but it would be brilliant for us if we could get him for another year. I think it'd be really good for Finn, but the ball's in Rangers court, we understand that, and they're getting a better player back than what they sent to us.
Any other Killie fans, give us a call, 0808 17 17 700. The Morrisons in Kilmarnock hoping that you can keep Finlay Curtis. Yep, Billy Dodds is back with us for one night only, but hopefully you'll come back after the summer break, because you were here before you went to Kilmarnock. So much has happened this season. Charlie, we can't get rid of him, back into football management, but you've been longer with us than the 10 weeks, and thank goodness, Charlie. I think you had a great campaign. I think a lot of people fair-minded, neutrals and Celtic fans in the last few weeks have said, Charlie, you've stood up, you've called it out, and you've done really, really... There was a hysteria about the fact that Celtic then won the title. I think there was. The media, some places lost it. But Charlie, you'll always come... I think you're objective, but of course you were a Celtic fan as well. But you stuck your ground. You had some great facts and figures there as well. And we've had a lot of good feedback on it.
A few rubbish points as well, Paul.
Absolutely.
That's a balance, Charlie. That's what makes you a good pundit, no? A rubbish points, good points.
Celtic fans, what are you thinking then? Double winners. That's coming next.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
Last 2 hour special of the season. Charlie, it's been a long season, did you feel?
Flew in.
Good.
Although I say it's like 4 seasons back to back with the amount of stuff that happened. It's been exciting, Paul, and really enjoyable to speak about it.
Celtic clinching the double at Hampden at the weekend, and it was sunshine, wasn't it? We hadn't had a lot of it until the weekend came along. Martin O'Neill afterwards speaking about the win, and a lot to weigh up over the summer.
I would have to check my heart, monitor for a start. Blood pressure would probably be up. It has, honestly, it's been great. And the only reason it's been great is because we've been successful at the end of it all. I don't know. I really don't know. It's nice today and think, oh gosh, I would love to do that again. I really do not know whether I would have that. I can't say enthusiasm. I'm always enthusiastic. Whether being at it every day. I'll tell you what I would do. I would teach a lot of different instructions to the team. So we would. I've done a lot of learning in the last couple of months. Things that in terms of tactics of the game and stuff like this here, and I did say at one of the calls there that when Callum comes over to talk to me, he talks past me and speaks to Sean and Fozzie, and I'm not really happy with that. Joking, honest, joking. I've done the learning in the last 3 or 4 months, really have. And it's been nice. It's, some things that I absolutely agree with, and I thought, yeah, that's a good point. And other things I wasn't sure about.
So he meets Dermot Desmond in the next couple of days. I wonder what. Yeah,
that's an unbelievable interview.
Good interview. I was thinking the exact same.
When you think about football, and you think, well, surely the manager must know the ins and outs of tactics. It just shows you that although it's got its place and it's important, what will never leave the game is that man management and that energy you bring to your squad. And even though you might know he's tactically aware or up with the modern terms, you can still affect a team and be that influence. It's amazing. It's amazing to see that.
And what he really believes in, although he was joking, I mean, the journalists are on guard because they don't know where he's going with that one, and then suddenly he throws in it's a joke. But there's a wee jag there to say it's not my true beliefs at times, even though the modern maybe jargon is there, but I would demand something else. I think, although he said it was a joke, I think there's a wee bit of truth in that. Oh, yeah. That's the way I took it, and it just kind of left a few things open.
I watched them on Saturday, a couple of goal kicks when the Fairman were having a bit of joy, and they had two strikers up ready to press, and you just see Martin O'Neill saying, "Let's kick it long." Now, if you think back to Ange Postecoglou, Brendan Rodgers, it would always be to play for the back. I think Martin O'Neill's instincts, and I think you've seen it in times in the season, is keep it simple. Keep it simple is Martin O'Neill's way he sees the game. But then Sean Maloney following him, I don't think see the game like that. I think they see it with short, intricate passing.
Who's right?
Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. Everybody sees the game differently in how they want to do it.
But why wouldn't you get the ball up the pitch? Because as Pat Bonner always says on the radio.
Because the reason you wouldn't do it is because you feel so many times that you can gain control from the back. I think people talk about playing for the back is risky, right? But nobody talks about the times where the 100 times Celtic do it and they get control of the game and they end up in the team's half and they're stuck in there. It's a risk and reward and when you do it. But Martin O'Neill clearly doesn't want to take so much risk. He wants to go forward, so he's learning. And it's so interesting because in that one interview, you've seen that through times of the season. I thought Celtic were in between styles a lot of the time, but they managed to. The bottom line is they managed to go over the line and win games when it counted.
And I guess you really get punished if you make a mistake at the back.
Yeah,
because it's such a dangerous area.
See,
Billy,
listening to Charlie, just because you're obviously talking about the time that Dunfermline made their substitutions and got the two strikers up and Kane and Rudden and putting on probably a bit of pressure at that time. And as a young coach or an inexperienced coach, I'm not saying either of the Celtic coaches are, you might still want to pave your ways to say, no, we're still forced to build it. But Martin O'Neill realises with his experience that one kick long maybe just back them off a wee bit and then you play the next time. It's just balancing again. I'm big for it. I mean, Neil and I, we force our boys at command to play from the back, but sometimes you think, no, just balance it. We'll clip a few in as well, just to make sure that teams are just, because if you do that a couple of times, then they'll not be right at you. They'll just go, right, you know, they might clip it long, so we'll be caught in between a rock and a hard place and we'll not really go full pelt to get the full press on, and then you can make your passes from the back because you have extra players there.
Did you give them permission to change it up sometimes and play the ball up?
Yeah, it was balanced. I said, listen, if you feel pressure, and Neil's braver than me, I have to say, in terms of, he was like, I like to play and I'll force it at times and I trust the players, and he's been quite right, whereas at times I'm like, right, okay, I have no problem with that, but just a couple going clip, I'll always be in his ear. Going to just clip a couple and make sure that they're not the midfielders or the two strikers or the striker and the two wingers for whatever team are just not going full press on you. So you can mix them up as well at times.
Neil Lennon spoke about the Celtic fans singing his name, and why not? He's such a legend at Celtic.
Yeah, lovely, yeah. They weren't singing it 5 years ago, but they sang it today, so yeah, it was a nice touch, yeah.
Well, there's a wee thing in there from Neil as well, because what that man's done for that football club, your football club, is immense, and I think it isn't recognised. I think in time people will look back and say, what? Ross Might, he's on the line, a Celtic fan. Hi Ross, good evening.
Evening chaps, how are you? You well? Good.
Hi Ross. Yeah, good. We're pleased to see Billy in. I think he's in the shorts, straight from the... Well, he's ready for his holiday, I would say.
Holiday,
exactly.
Much needed.
Yeah. Ross, congratulations, your team double winners. Who'd have believed it?
Yeah, listen, just what Martin O'Neill said there, I think all our Celtic fans should start wearing heart monitors to the game, by the way, because I would love to see your heart rate during the games. And I just think in terms of where the seasons went, Paul, if anybody had told you in December, when, I don't like disrespecting other managers, but when Wilfred Nancy came in, if anybody had told you that Celtic were going to be sitting here maybe a double, nobody would have believed you. But I think just what Martin O'Neill said there, that obviously he's meeting up with Dermot Desmond and stuff, and that would suggest to me, and I don't know if Charlie would agree here, that Martin O'Neill was getting the first chance of refusal at the job. Because why would Martin O'Neill be? Why, if Martin O'Neill wasn't getting the job, surely the board would just come out and say, "Thanks very much, Martin, job done." But that would suggest to me that Martin O'Neill is in line to get the job, I think.
Yeah, I've got that feeling as well. I think it might well be that Dermot wants to meet him and thank him and maybe discuss another role within the club. You just never know. But
give him his bonus.
Give him his bonus. He deserves that. Jeez, he deserves to be rewarded financially. But I don't know. Maybe I've got the same feeling as you, Ross. I've just got a feeling that it might be one more year for Martin.
Yeah, I agree, Phil.
Yeah.
Ross, what did you think of his interview there? If you heard that about him saying, I'll always have the enthusiasm, but it pointed to me a wee bit, maybe I'm being sceptical, that he feels if he's not maybe get the energy now. I took that out of the interview, and I know Charlie and yourself think he is going to be the manager. It's got to take a right good conversation. I think he should be, but it's whether he can go a full season now with that energy and he's got the enthusiasm, I say, but just it's a long season and working in there constantly and the demands of the game now, and I mean it's.
You know what I think, Billy, with that? Do you know what I think, Billy, with that though? Right, I think Martin O'Neill, and I think Charlie might agree here, I think he still get that figure though. That see that Walter Smith presence when you come into a dressing room.
I agree.
And you think, oh, right, this is Martin O'Neill, I need to play for it. I think he still get that presence. Now, I think he's not the guy doing the ins and outs day to day. I think that's Maloney and the other coaching staff. But I think having Martin O'Neill there though would give the players that presence to say, look, this guy's been here, done it, took Celtic to European finals and stuff. So I think if we ever sit down with Martin O'Neill and say, look, even if you're not taking the coaching, if you're doing the team talks before the game and stuff, I think the majority of the Celtic fans would be actually all right with Martin O'Neill sticking around for one more year, and then in a year's time he can then decide at that time if he doesn't want to take the job or no. But I think he's just still got that figure, Martin O'Neill. And I actually went to Celtic Park on Saturday night.
Oh, did you? Right.
After the game, and he was talking on the stage outside Celtic Park, Paul, and you know, just stand and listen to him, like the amount of Celtic fans that just be quiet and listen to him, and he's just got that presence, and I think everyone respects him, and I just think that he's this sort of figure that he's brought everybody at the club back together. The club has been all over the place this season with the Green Brigade and the board, and I think with Martin O'Neill, he's brought everyone reunited back together, and I really don't see why you would want to change it.
The interesting thing about that is when I was going into management or looking to be a manager or coach, I met Martin O'Neill at a function and I asked some advice from him, what he would say, as you try and gather as much as you can. And I remember him saying that he used to save, he saves his energy. This is before he had been management a wee while, and he says he saves his energy for match day. That's an interesting point. All his sort of energy and focus is on match day. Doesn't he waste during the week, wasting too much energy, and he gives it to the full player. So maybe there's a place where he can focus completely on the match day and bits and delegate, because the best managers are good delegators, aren't they? Like Sean Maloney and Fordingham and McManus and Strachan, they all know their roles within that. And I'm sure that now that they've worked together, there's things they could probably polish up on and make it spot on. And go again with Martin O'Neill to helm.
Here's a little bit more he said on Saturday, Ross, about his future.
I did say here, if you were asking me about like will you start back in a week's time, I genuinely couldn't do that. I'll have to have a think. I think in the next week I'll meet up with the owner, see what he's saying. Hasn't said anything to me, so and I don't know whether that's good news or bad news. But I will genuinely have a wee look at it to see. But I would be I would be thinking that the football club to go forward properly would probably be looking at somebody younger.
would probably be looking at somebody younger, but there could be a year's transition. I just don't see how you can offer it to somebody else. Pep Guardiola could come up, and if he doesn't start well, I'm being fanciful, ridiculous, yeah. But do you know what I mean? They'll go, there's Martin
I wonder
O'Neill.
if they've tried to phone him.
Do you reckon?
He deserves it, Martin O'Neill. I don't think anybody's questioning that. It's just from within with him. He calmed the situation down at Celtic. He calmed the politics down, not just by results. Results are a big part of it, but he calmed it down by his words. So there's a role there for him.
I agree, Billy.
But it's whether he has got that. Well, he said it. Enthusiasm. It's whether he's got the energy to go for a season, and maybe it's back to where Charlie's talking about there. If he can get himself ready for match days, let the young lads and it all rolls into one, go on the training ground, give it a lot there, set them up, and talk to the manager after training, tell them what they've done, what they're planning for the weekend, then it might work. Who knows? Yeah.
There are people deep into their 70s, unlike Martin running America and running Russia. Do you know what I mean? It can happen. He's a unique individual. Final point, Ross, before we come back to you. Here's Neil Lennon. His take on it. He thinks it's Martin O'Neill should decide. And it doesn't want to play, so we'll maybe never know. We'll play that later on. Ross, what about, who else would it be? Would it be Robbie Keane, or do you reckon it's going to be Martin?
I think if it isn't going to be Martin, then I would be up for the Robbie Keane situation. But my only concern with that is, and again, I don't like getting down the politics route, but I know for a fact the fans will a certain element of the fans will not want him there because of the politics. So I think we just need to base it on a football basis, and if it's no Martin O'Neill, whoever it is, I just hope they can come in, Paul, and they can take over the reins. But I just think that in terms of the situation just now, if we gave Martin O'Neill the reins for one more year, that gives us a year now to get a situation lined up that we know in a year's time, if Martin O'Neill's not going to be there, then we have got somebody else coming in. But I just want to make one a quick point to the guys in terms of I don't know if you're going to watch the game tonight, but I think tonight's game will be fantastic with St Mirren and Partick Thistle, by the way. And honestly, I would love to see Partick Thistle coming up. I think they would bring so much energy, and I think Mark Wilson's done a great job there. So I'm looking forward to another game tonight.
What's your hunch? What's your scoreline
for tonight? I think Thistle will nick it 2-1.
Okay, Ross, thank you so much for your call. We are going to speak about it next. Cheers, Ross. Big Celtic fan. He's a referee as well. So, I don't know.
What should have asked him if he likes VAR.
We have done before. Yeah,
right, he refereed a game for me when I was 18's coach at Hamilton. Right, we actually beat Celtic 1-0 and he was a ref.
Was he good?
Hold on, cut to the chase.
Very good.
Was he all right?
That's right.
Was he a good ref?
One of my only games is coaching that I won, so he's a great ref.
08 17 700. Back in a moment.
The Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
What season it has been all round. Rangers fans, what are you thinking? It looks as though, subject to a medical tomorrow, that Lawrence Shankland, the captain of Hearts, will be a Rangers player. Something we've spoken about for years on this programme. Billy, I remember speaking with you about it because, you would have had him last summer if Rangers had gone with you and Neil and Barry Ferguson, because I know he was on your sites then. You could have got him for nothing.
Yeah, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think it was the right way to go. I still see it. I've talked about it many a times. I'm not saying anything I've not said before in the programme, even a year ago. I just think it's the best chance for Rangers to get back to where they were, to evolve, to get better. And Lawrence Shankland, I think now, especially after the season he's had, Rangers are going to get an even better Lawrence Shankland. I think he's... I always looked at him and I thought, really good striker. Yep, score at most levels, practically any level, especially when he started scoring for Scotland. But I think they're getting somebody now who is a leader, who will take it in his stride, even though it's going into a bigger club. When you walk in that door at Ibrox, it's a scary place, and even an experienced players can wilt sometimes.
Did you feel it when you walked in?
I was very similar with Lawrence Shankland, probably 30, 31 when I joined Rangers, and it still got to you. You still mentally said, I'm ready, but you still had to take it all in, then perform, and then just get used to the dressing room. And as you do, it doesn't matter what age you are, you get a few nerves. You'll have all that. But my point is, I think they're getting an even better leader, never mind player now.
And he's only 30.
I think if they'd signed him for this season, when they were in for him, I think they would have disarmed Hearts, there's no doubt about that, and they'd have been a lot closer to the title. Pretty straightforward thing to say, but it's amazing how one player's influence could have brought Rangers potentially a lot closer to the title, but now the important thing for Rangers is they've obviously moved on it now, they've not waited any longer, and it looks like he's going to be a Rangers player. And we talk about that spine being leaders. Took Hearts captain, number 9. That's a good start for Rangers.
I think you see Paul and Charlie when he went out the Hearts team injured, when he did his hamstring, how much he missed him, and then when he come back, I mean, the goals he scored in important games were incredible. I think that's where he is mentally. I think he's ready for the Rangers move. I think he was ready last year, but I think Rangers are going to get an even better product in the door, and he's going to take it in his stride, and I think he'll be a huge help to Rangers, probably on and off the park.
Ian's on, a Kilmarnock fan, calling in 0808 17 17 700, and he's saying, Billy, thank you for what happened this season. Are you quite relieved just now to get a break and then get ready, you and Neil, for the new campaign? Because you've got a pre-season, which you obviously didn't have last year.
I don't care what age you are, you are relieved, because the situation we're into didn't look good. We weren't getting results. But it's all, I've spoken to Charlie, but it's down to and yourself. It's down to the players where they were brave, because we asked them to play away that when you're down the bottom of the league, and I've been there for teams where sometimes, especially the defender, Charlie, where in situations where it's tight and you're down the bottom, you don't want to make a mistake, you get rid. But the players really took the ball in any position, and I think because they were brave, they end up growing in confidence and then going on from there, and they just felt at the end they probably could win most games, and it's down to them where they kept us up. Okay, we feed them the information, they've still got to do it, but it was the manner they did it that was refreshing for us. We were like, usually you'll think when you get into a pressurised situation and you're down the bottom league, you'll think, oh no, how's it going to go today? It wasn't like that. I enjoyed sitting watching the football sometimes, and even when the pressure was on, and I knew the boys were going to come good, because they come through that stage where it was like a 50-50. It was like, right, we're a right good team now. They were believing in themselves.
You saw them a few times.
I did. Yeah. I think the thing that surprised me, Billy, was the fact that when you think of a team that are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the league, you automatically think pragmatic, stay behind the ball, defend, because it's the easiest thing to do is destroy and defend your half. But he's never done it. He's went and played the game and opened teams up and played through the lines, and it was really good to see. And it just shows you that when you're given that wee bit of freedom as a player, and you're given the energy for the coaching staff and the manager, that belief to go and play, it's amazing. Because up and down the country, what you'll see, and what I remember seeing and being involved in, was you'll play 11v11 in training, and everybody will play for the back, and everybody will play through, and nobody will ever concede goals playing for the back. And it comes to a game, and there's a lot more pressure, so you're relying heavily on your coaching staff, your management, to say, it's fine, we'll be all right. You can make a mistake. We're given that permission to make a mistake, you end up all of a sudden realising, hold on a minute, I can play here, and people come out their shell. It's great to see.
I think the first few weeks were a test, you're right, because I put my players' head on sometimes, and you judge the manager, don't you? You say, right, okay, he's telling us that's the way they want us to go. And as soon as you make a mistake, all you hear from the managers, what are you doing? And then that's when you know. But Neil and I have never been like that. We said, you get the ball forward as quick as you can, get through the lines. We have to try and create, get it wide at times, get it through the midfield, because we played the diamond, and create for your strikers. And never once when they fired the ball through, and we gave a few away, did we go players head on again. We never ever said, what are you doing? Don't take chances. You've got to show them what you say is what you mean, and they've got to believe it. And when you don't shout at them, they start believing it. And I believe that's what the players bought into.
Yeah, you need to trust your manager and the coach. That's a trust straight away. You're looking at players are no daft. They're looking for every wee bit. He told me this. Is he believing his message? And and if you believe your message, stick to your guns. And obviously, you know, there's ways in which different ways to do it, but you can players know.
Ian's mentioned he's a season ticket holder. Joe Hugel, he loves him. What did you make of him? He scored a few goals. No fear.
A lovely lad. A bit back to Finn, we were lucky in terms of recruitment, the type of boys we brought in, not just as players, but the type of lads there in the dressing room, belief in themselves, quiet, unassuming lads, but joined in right away, walked into the dressing room and just joined in with the players, and had a bit of patter as well and had something about them. Well brought up lad, met his mum and dad. I was the last international break. I was getting away for a couple of days and stayed in the Park Hotel at Kilmarnock, and didn't realise, sitting with my missus, and she said, I think that's your striker behind you.
She's keeping you right.
Not that she knows about football, but anyway,
Man on.
I said, so it is, yeah. So his mum and dad were there in Durham, lovely people, and you just see, well brought up lad, but then you put him in the dressing room and then he performs. But he is, I think you and I were mentioning it, Paul, Maeda-like, not in terms of ability, just running, and you think most players after 75 will tire, especially strikers who are running that quickly for a long period of time. This guy just keeps going, and we're like that. How does he do that? I think it will continue as well because he is so grounded. He's got a couple of goals now. We know he can play at this level. I think hopefully he'll get better as well. But been a real find, a real revelation, and scares the living daylights out defenders.
I'm sure I heard that he got 8 goals for January.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
How did you find him? I don't know. It'd be better to ask you as a centre half when you played. Would you like to play against him? Because just that raw pace. I mean, it's scary. It's like a jet taking off. At times.
Because then you end up deep him off to kill the space behind, because you know you'll never catch him, and then the space opens up in front, and yeah, he looked like a handful.
And then that's when your midfielders get on it and play. That's kind of, you know, you just think, okay, Joe, you might not get the service at times, but you keep doing that running, son. Don't worry about it. We'll get on the ball and we'll create for you.
You've got a former Young Player of the Year, David Watson, who's 21 now.
He's I think he's going to move on, David. I think he's decided where. Okay. He's had a great time. He was very emotional in the last day of the season. You can understand he's been there for a young kid, and I don't know where he'll end up. I was speaking to him and I was wishing him all the best, and he wasn't giving much away, even though you were what to find out for the set. Because I'm interested. I get a lot of players still keep in touch with me and phone me regularly, and I mean a lot for advice. Because I looked after them, and I understand, having a son myself, you treat them like sons in a way, and you're there to help them because they're only young, and they've regularly asked me for advice. But David will move on, and he'll be good. His energy, there's bits of his game has to improve, but his energy is infectious, and you can't beat that for a starting point.
Charlie, could you see him in Glasgow, either Ibrox or Celtic Park? What do you think?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. He's a good player. He's got a lot of energy, as Billy says. He's got a lot of things that he needs to brush up on, as any young player does. But if you bring that energy and that attitude, you've got a chance. Maybe not quite ready for Celtic or Rangers yet, but I'm sure there's plenty of growth within him.
I think David has to go somewhere where you're never guaranteed, but you're practically guaranteed to play a huge amount of games. Right. I think that will help David.
Yeah, it's important as a young boy you get games.
And where would that be? I don't mean what league would that be? It's because it's tough, isn't it?
I asked him, Paul. He said, "No, honestly, I don't know anything, and I've spoken to a few, but wouldn't give anything away."
Jim's on asking Charlie, "Who's your Celtic Player of the Year?" And he also mentions Callum McGregor. He's not saying that's it, but he wants a word for the captain who's won again.
Callum McGregor, for me, he gets some stick sometimes about his legs getting on a bit. I think Callum's influence is understated in that changing room. I think when you speak to some of the players, especially the players at new signings, or I spoke to Trusty, and he told me that the influence Callum has on the changing room, how he drives the standards every single day, how he makes them understand what it is to be a Celtic player. What's that? That's winning every single day in training, turning up, giving everything. So you fall back in your habits when it comes to games. You need to win every game. Drawing's a disaster. Finishing seconds last. You need to continue to win. So I think that what he's done by alongside the manager and alongside the staff and dragging that team through the big moment. You see him before games, the camera pans on him, you see him speaking to the players. Yeah. You see what he's driving behind the scenes there. He's not letting MD come off it for a second. And sometimes as a player, especially we don't understand Celtic as much, you think, oh, we're all right here, we're doing well, we've won the last game, maybe turn up at the final and you think, oh, it's a final against a championship team, we're all right, let's just have a wee bit of and all of a sudden, bang, you get hit, you go, oh no, here we go, what's going on here? Callum's making sure for the first whistle they are on it, and what an influence he had this season. I don't think it should be understated.
Billy?
I have no idea what players like Callum McGregor and how important they are to any club, never mind Celtic, and the standards he drives, which Charlie's touched on. What I would add to that, the biggest compliment I could give him was every time I had a team against him or involved with a team, whether it was that cup final you're talking about or even with Rangers for the short spell we're in there, that we felt we put him, we never man-marked him, with a man on him all the time, because that's how much he influences the game.
And it made a big difference, didn't it? Because the fortunes turned for Rangers, and then you beat them at Parkhead.
Not just for Rangers. I mean, I stuck Nathan Shaw on him in the cup final, right? A boy who's a forward-thinking player. And he get that caught up in marking Callum McGregor. He didn't do what he could do on the ball because he's a right good player and a real skillful lad. And I wanted him to play off the ball as well. You know, I wanted him to play in possession when we got it. Not that we got it a lot, but he didn't do what he could do. But he was that caught up in stopping Callum McGregor. To an extent, he did, and we did pretty well in spells, as we were saying in that cup final. But that was down to me saying, "Well, I'm going to take care of him first because he's Celtic's biggest influence."
And I think you seen it on Saturday. Callum McGregor started to get a grip of the game, and it was It's so many subtle things that if you look at it closely, he's one touch passing the right way at the safe side. He's taking it in tight areas and maybe just knocking it off first time so somebody can play the other side. It's totally dictating the game, and he actually took the spirit for that Dunfermline team in the first half. You were watching it, along with Arnie Engels, by the way, who have said that he can do more with goals and assists, which I think he can, but see the way he passes the ball and is similar to Callum and dictates the game, and then goes and gets his goal. These types of players, they can kill a team. You've seen Neil Lennon standing there thinking, we're not getting a kick of the ball here. It can't be understated.
I'm not going to kick of the ball either. I need it. The news is next, and then we're back with Billy Dodds, Charlie Mulgrew. That's coming next.
On YouTube. Join the conversation on 0808 17 17 700. Talking Scottish football first.
Huge game in Paisley tonight. St Mirren, who are in the Premiership, trying to fend off Partick Thistle, who will be there if they win tonight. 1-1 from the weekend. I watched the game. So did Billy Dodds. So did Charlie Mulgrew just a few nights ago. What a game this is going to be at the Smiza today.
Big one.
Wow. What are we thinking, Billy?
Well, I'm talking pressure with Commander. That's pressure. The playoffs. I've been involved in them with Inverness, and we weren't the favourites against St Johnstone, but still not nice. Such a pressurised game. But the pressure's probably on St Mirren being the Premiership team. Bigger pressure I'm talking about. I felt as if Thistle edged the first game after watching it. They played well, but St Mirren got a draw, and you would think going down to Paisley would have enough to get over the line, but there's something telling you as well that, well, Thistle have been in it that many times, the playoffs, they're due one, so it's such a pressurised game. I wouldn't like to call it, but I don't think it'll be straightforward either for St Mirren.
Charlie, it was Killian Phillips, it was Aidan Fitzpatrick, the two scorers from either side. What are you feeling tonight?
There's big pressure on St Mirren, I think. Thistle obviously pressure as well, but not as much because they've got a lot to gain from it. So I think Thistle are going to win it narrowly tonight. I think so. But listen, it could go either way. I think it will be a tight game though.
Football's crazy, isn't it? You know, St Mirren, minutes away from maybe getting into the cup final. Get the semi-final against Celtic. They won the League Cup final. And then since then, it all changed. Billy, what do you think happened at St Mirren? You've come up against them this season.
They had a few injuries. The strikers missed out for long periods. Marcus Fraser hurt his shoulder. I know Marcus well. And he's back now. But when you lose big players, it can affect you. Then you lose a manager, which sometimes will get you over the line in difficult situations. It's been a bit of everything, maybe taking their eye off the ball because they have done well in the two trophies, but they're still a good side, but they just have to find a way to keep themselves in the Premiership. But pressure does funny things in football. I'm glad I'm going to have a couple of drinks tonight while I watch it. There you go, no pressure.
Great feeling for you, isn't it? It's like the end of school.
I've got a holiday head on.
You're off. The 7-week holidays.
As you can see by my dress.
No, that's the teachers, I see, Charlie, you've got the shorts on as well.
Oh, you wear shorts today, Paul. It's boiling there.
Indeed.
Lovely.
I was going to say you've been golfing, but you were at the marathon yesterday in Edinburgh.
I can't believe you're wearing a skirt.
The kilt walk. Hey, thank you, Billy. Charlie, how'd you got on yesterday?
Yeah, I done 13.1k. It was a warm day. Get my excuses in now. My heel was killing me after 4k, and I still had 9k to go. But listen, that's what running is, isn't it? You need to run through the pain. Got through it. My time wasn't brilliant, but I got done my 13k, and got through it. It's a great feeling after it, innit? You getting a wee beer and being in the sun in Edinburgh. It was good.
Didn't need the full match report, but thank you for that, Charlie.
He's an extremist, isn't he, Paul?
Can we? I know you're crazy.
What?
I know. Yeah.
Never used to do that when we signed you for Dundee United.
That's right. So you played under Billy briefly at Dundee United.
Yeah, one game.
He saw me off.
One game. My first 3 games in football, I had 3 different managers. I've seen them all off. It's not a great start for myself, but Gordon Chisholm signed me. Then Billy Dodds was there. His assistant took then the job, and then we actually won that game.
Yeah, we did. Falkirk.
We beat Falkirk, so we did 2-1. Derek McInnes was playing midfield that night. Actually,
Derek McInnes scored the winner for me then.
Wow,
that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's right. Bounced at the edge of the box and he hit it.
Listen,
there's another story at that one. Every time I see him, he's a good Ayrshire boy, big Craig Sampson.
Oh, of course, the keeper.
I kept you a job. I said, that cost me. You did cost me a job. He threw in the first goal, but we managed to turn it around and win.
And then big Craig Brewster came in after that.
Aye. Wow.
He used to slap you in the back before games. It was agony.
Do you know we had 1 million views last week? Tonight, you two are killing this. We're on the charge. Your legs have gone.
That was a long time ago.
It's great stuff. Billy Dodds with us. A lot of comments coming in, but despite he is staying with us till 7 o'clock tonight, Newcomlick's finest is here with us on the programme. A great Ayrshire man. And Charlie, where were you born? Is it Glasgow in the north side? Or?
I was born in. So my passport, my dad's filled my passport in, so it should say Glasgow. He wrote Springburn in it. I was born in the Stockhill Hospital.
You just found somewhere in Springburn.
You played for the wrong team then, no?
The Asda. No, that's a different
the
story.
Costco.
Exactly, not at all. So Charlie is with us here. Quite a few Celtic fans are on saying, what a season it's been. It's driving them nuts, but they've loved it at the end of the day. The way it came around, there's something about the football club and Martin O'Neill.
Yep.
So lots of them are saying, well, how can it not be Martin for next season? He has been speaking about his future. He spoke also about Kieran Tierney, one of the big successes this season when he came back from Arsenal.
Kieran, that's one of the things that I would like to stay for next season, so that Kieran completes a game. I know it'd be really fantastic. I love him to bits. I think he's great for us, but honestly. And Sean keeps coming to me all the time after 55 minutes and saying, I think Kieran's, so he is doing my brain in, But he is fine. He's done brilliantly since he's come back. I think that a real pre-season with him will suit him down to the ground, but he's a really fine footballer.
Charlie?
I think we're quick to criticise kind of sports science departments and medical departments. I think people see it when players keep getting subbed, but I think it's proven for early on in the season, the way his minutes were managed, that it's allowed him to play over 50 games for Celtic this season. And I think if you'd offered them that at the start of the season, the fans, that the influence he can bring with his personality and his ability, snapped your hand off for it. Sometimes
sports scientists, it can go too far when they say, no, you have to take him off. Billy, do you find that? Or
it would never. I'm big into sports science as well,
okay.
And in fact, one of my best friends who I took to Inverness again in Ross County was Ross Hughes. As a boy, a lot of experience come through at Hamilton. Anyway, a lot of clubs. So I listen to them, but only so much. It's when you start taking on too much information can get you into trouble. Going back to Kieran Tierney, brilliant that he's played that amount of games. If you'd have asked me at the start of the season, will he play that, I would have said no, because he kept on breaking down at Arsenal. So he's had to condition his body. He's had to. They've had to know as a club when to take him off and how many times and what minutes of the games he's needed, which is great for him. And he's getting back to where he was. I still think you can see him not wanting to extend fully at times, but then you think he's only 28. So if you can get him and condition him properly, and Martin O'Neill's talking about that pre-season there, then you've got a hell of a player on your hands again.
I think he had a bad hamstring injury, and I think when you've never had a hamstring injury, which he never had, I think it shocks you, and you're actually scared to sprint after that. And I think you've seen that a lot this season. But that only comes with time and confidence, and they've managed them really well. But I guarantee there's been times in the season where the sports science have tried to take him out of training, or tried to take him off earlier, and it's getting the balance between the football and staff and making the decision, coming and going a bit with the sports science and understanding it. But like Billy says, ultimately the manager and the staff need to make a decision.
One of the headlines today is about Jota, so we haven't seen him all season, and it looks as though he's going to be out for at least another 5 months. So
strange one, that.
Charlie, what's the chat?
I'm not sure. I think that I thought a cruciate injury was 9 months to a year. Listen, I'm not a medic. I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know what setbacks he's had, but it's a real shame for him.
Cameron Carter-Vickers was there, obviously, last weekend at the title decider. He was there at the weekend.
He's another one you'd hope to have seen by the end of the season, before the end of the season. Again, Achilles injury, which is a bad one. Again, I thought it was a 9 month to a year one injury. That's what you usually see. Strange that he wasn't seen again, but who knows? Well, you don't know the ins and outs. You don't know what the complications were. But they're two players they're assets for the club and players that you want on the pitch.
Injuries are never straightforward, and there's obviously something gone wrong with their rehabilitation, and they've broken down again, and it's set them back. But I'm sure Carter Vickers, I saw him, they were trying to fire him or get him ready for the cup final, weren't they? Saw him doing some running somewhere. Maybe it's just come too quickly. But there's obviously, and Charlie's right, we're not sports scientists, we're not medics, so I'm not going to predict, but they've obviously had some setbacks along the line, because it is, as you say, the timeline is nine months to a year when it comes to those sort of injuries, and it's taking a bit longer.
Billy, what do you make of Kelechi Iheanacho? What an end to the season for him.
A revelation. A revelation. You can see there's a player in there, maybe a lack of fitness because he's not had full games for a long time, but my word, what an impact he's made for Celtic, and the type of goals, how important they've been right throughout since he's come to Celtic has been incredible. And he picked up another injury along the way, but then come back strong again. He's been a real find in terms of getting them over the line. You wonder, longevity, long term, what he's going to do. Are they going to sign him as a super sub? I don't know, but that's a chance you take. But you can't take away from the guy the impact he's made. He practically helped. Well, he did help them win it, but he practically did it himself at times by scoring the important goals and getting them over the line.
Yeah, I think that he's the first thing I would get done. I would get him signed for next year. I think he looks happy. He looks as if he feels the love in the club for the fans and the staff. So I would get him signed up, and I would get him a full pre-season under his belt. And you need more than one striker. So I think Maeda's going to leave. Get Iheanacho there. Get him signed up. There's one good solid number 9 you've got in your building that's ready to be fit and play next year, hopefully.
They've got an option on him for another year. Billy, what about Maeda? Last time we saw you here, people were saying, well, is he going to fire the way he did the year before? 33 goals. But my goodness, April, May, he was back at near his best.
Yeah, I said Iheanacho single-handed, but that's no near the truth, because when you think about Maeda, since I was in here talking about him and he was struggling, there was a show where Mark Guidi and myself were talking about his best position. We thought it was wide rather than a striker, but then he comes back as a striker now and scores goals, and then he finds himself in the left towards the latter periods of games, and when Iheanacho comes on and does the business. So he has been a revelation again. You're thinking, if he ever, well, he was nearly away last season, but if he's ever going to move, it probably is now with the form he's in, and it's down to Maeda. And I think the Celtic fans, they'll be gutted to lose him, but I think they'll give him a big, huge send off in terms of well done for us. Thanks, you'll always be a hero now.
He got a huge reception back at Celtic Park that Ross mentioned there, and they interviewed him. They said, "What colour's Glasgow?" And he said, "Green." So the Celtic fans loved it. Ross mentioned that.
I think when you look at his season, there was spells in it where obviously he thought he was moving, and he was disappointed with that. You could see he was down, and he was having to. We spoke on here saying, you need to put that aside. You need to step up and show that if you want to move, you need to do the business at Celtic and earn your move. I think he done that in the end, helped by Martin O'Neill's management. He got an arm round him. Then he turns up and he does the business. It's crazy how Martin O'Neill managed to turn that round for him, but that's what Maeda had to do, and he went and done it. He was brilliant
in both positions. As the striker and everything we were talking about, he produced, didn't he? Well, play there, play through the middle, play wide, but I'm still going to do it. So maybe it's time for his move.
I think he's earned
it.
He deserves it. He does, yeah. Martin O'Neill at full time.
I naturally am delighted. Really, really pleased with the team, pleased with the football club, and I honestly could not be more delighted.
In the coming weeks and months,
I think that's really important now, because over the next 4 or 5 weeks, we are going to get some of the lads who go off in World Cup duty, but there are players that I don't know their abilities, who have been out on loan, who will come back to us, and that's an important factor in all of this. But in terms of the club, to go and compete, I think this is it's turned out well for us at the end, but it could gone so easily wrong, and so the club will need to, if you want to compete.
I want to ask you about the Rangers rebuild, if it's a rebuild, but also in Celtic there, is that another clue, guys, when he said there some players coming back that I don't know, which infers that he'll be there? Yeah.
I've got a feeling he might be there.
Billy?
Yeah, you're a real Inspector Clouseau.
Exactly, but what you're trying to say, my instinct is just that, I think.
I agree.
Well, who else is it going to be now? But I could hear everybody. I know that months ago. Mark Guidi, who often gets it right, he was right last season. He said Rangers should sign Barry with you and Neil and get. I think he said a year's contract.
He was wrong because they never.
They didn't. But look at it. Look at the money they blew on a project. It didn't work.
Mark gets a lot of things right, and you're right to look into things like that because it's typical Martin O'Neill. With some things he said, I've been like, no so sure now, and then you're pointing out that. So it's typical him. He leaves you like, what is he going to do? We'll find out. It might be a couple of weeks yet, but that is positive for the Celtic fans.
Billy's on. He's always on. Thank you, Billy, for being with us throughout the season. He said, Neil, can I pick your brain? What do you think? He wants to throw a few names at you. Chermiti, would you keep him? I know it depends what comes in just now. You saw him in some of the games, some of the biggest games where he would score doubles, hat tricks or whatever. What do you make of him since we last saw you?
Chermiti has scored big goals. You can see there's class in there. I think he has to be probably more consistent. I think Rangers fans will want that from him. Scored a lot of big games, but he ended up getting a fair few goals when he didn't look like scoring for a long, long time. So, and we forget he's young, but we always said that, we forget he's young, there's a player there, but he has to do things better. And when I've watched him, I think against like the lesser teams, and that's no disrespect, but I've watched him hitting the box against Celtic and it's like a flash. And then other teams, I just see him like doing enough, rolling it wide and jogging in. I think it will help the boy if he starts just doing the same things regularly, consistently. Hold it, lay it, or your bit of skill and hit that box as quickly as you can. I think that will help Chermiti.
Charlie?
Yeah, he's a funny one because he scored a lot of his goals in big games, and that was his big performances. So he looked like he had something. He definitely had something. Whether he can be, he's another one that needs to realise what being a Rangers striker is as well. Like you need to score at vital times. You need to take your chances when they come along, and you need to win ultimately to be a success. So I think he's somebody that Rangers should probably look to keep next year.
Charlie, what do you make of Nico Raskin, a Belgian player in the Belgian squad for the World Cup? But then he just the last couple of games he wasn't there at Rangers. I think it was a knock apparently just at the end of the season. Do you think he'll be back?
Well, Billy knows him better than me. For me, he seems like from the outside, right? I don't know the guy, but he seems a lot about himself, which is fine because you're a football player and you worry about your career. But I just don't know. He wants to play that kind of number 6 deep line midfielder role. But for me, defensively, switches off. I think at Tynecastle you saw it, he matches a man into the box and you're thinking just pass him on to your centre half. He doesn't quite know and sense danger at the edge of the box for cutbacks, yet he plays some of his best stuff going forward from there. So he's somebody that I think Rangers, if they got a good bid, would sell. I think Danny Rowe would sell him if a bid came in, and that'll all be down to how he does in the World Cup.
Billy, you know him so well. What's your take on it just now?
I don't want to talk too much about Rangers players because they can come back and bite me now.
Of course.
But I've always maintained, and I've said it, and I've told Nico himself, I think the way I'd put it to him, I think he's worth a hell of a lot more money if he plays further forward. And I've consistently said that to him. So why would I change now? He can still play a 6, Charlie. He's still a good player, but I think he's got so much more to offer when he does everything. And you could see at the tail end at Rangers when we were there, Nico scored goals, he was running games, he was getting about the pitch, he was still tucking around being a 6 at times and suddenly become an 8 or a 10 and then get the box. And that's where I feel Nico is, but it's whether Nico wants to take that in, because in Nico's mind he thinks at times he's a 6. But I would always argue that case, and that's before I went to Kilmarnock. But we've got to be careful just in case he comes back to Rangers next year has a field day against us and just looks at me as if say, I know better than you.
Is it going to be?
The solution can maybe be to have a proper out and out 6 beside him, so he can then have that freedom to go, or have 2 midfielders that sense that danger and maybe him maybe having a bit of a free roll. But
I think that's why he played. You're right to point that out though, because I think that's why he played so well when we were there with Conor Barron, just rolling round and releasing him.
Yeah,
and then he could sit as a double and he maybe not have too many defensive responsibilities.
Yeah.
But there's times at Rangers this year he just sat as a 6 and played, and I feel as if I've been watching games even before I went to command and going, go on then, get yourself forward, go and hit the box half a dozen times, a half for a midfielder. But no, he just sat there, and I thought you get so much more, wee man.
And he could have been Rangers captain.
Yeah,
he could have been.
And it's really hard to do both, to sit defensively and dictate the play and get in the box consistently. It's really difficult to do that. But the one for me is when it's in the final, hit the defensive third, and you see the Hearts goal where Shankland's cut back to Shankland. A proper, I think a Scott Brown, for example, he would know the danger there is edge of the box. My job's there. Pass the runner on. Braga was that night. Pass him on to your centre half. They're doing nothing. So I talk about leaders. Can Fernandez say, pass him on, you stay there? Or Raskin says, here he comes, I need to stay in this danger. I just think he lacks that wee bit of sense in danger.
See, Fernandez's name's been mentioned by a few clubs, Billy. I mean, it happens, there's agents on the way, but his value has shot up during the season after a really tough start.
Yeah, you've got to praise him for that. He's had a consistent run of games where he's played well. The one thing I would say, he's got to really concentrate in his game at times and make sure when it comes to that one-to-one defending, he does the right things, and I think he'll become even more valuable. I think when you're that size and you're that physical and you're that athletic, that you do get tagged with big price tags like that, and I can understand why people want to have a look at him. Do I think he's a finished article? I think he's got to work harder and make sure that he can bring. He's got all the attributes. That's where I'm getting to become a top player. Fernandez.
So Fernandez has, and on paper, if you write all his attributes down, you'd think he's a Real Madrid player. But here's the difference: when you look at Chiellini and you like, Chiellini, I'm talking about one of the greats of the world football, but you look right his attributes down. He's not quick. He's not the strongest. He's no. But what he does do, which every top defender does, is they sense danger. And I think sometimes Rangers conceded too many goals because Fernandez and Jigger didn't quite sense that danger.
So can you teach that, or is that an instinct that's either there or not?
I don't know. I think over time, I think you develop it as you get older. I think Chiellini's best years were his latter years.
Billy? I agree. I think you can always still demand that they get better at things like that, especially with young players like Fernandez and Giga, where you can get better at this. This is what, with your attributes, if you add this, you can always demand of them that you'll turn into anything. And the world's your oyster. That's what you sell them, and it's up to them then whether they want to take it on board.
The important thing is the wee cross and that are nice, but as a young player, sometimes you don't understand that they're nice and they're a good bonus to have. But people want to see you defend head the ball at your box, get your face in front of a block, get your body in front of things, dive, sense of danger, nick things, and a cross a bonus. Your first thing is to defend your goal.
Josh Mulligan, is that gone now? Andy's on, a Rangers fan saying they'd love to have got him. We know you maybe would have got him last summer.
I think I'm not saying because he's injured now, he's been injured for a long time, Josh Mulligan. He's a player we spoke about regularly on this show. What I would say is, and I'm not saying he's the right one, if you can get Lawrence Shankland, then I think if Rangers did want him, they could probably get him. But I don't know if he's one that they'll be even thinking about now. It's not for me to say. It's not my remit anymore. No. Before I went to come out, I would have spoken about it openly. But I have to say now, looking at it, I think he's still a right good player. But where is he after his injury? But I'm thinking, if you're asking me, do I think Rangers could get somebody from Hibs? I think if they wanted to, and they've already shown it because they've got somebody from Hearts, they probably could do.
I would be having a wee look at Kenny McLean as well. I'd be looking
His
at
name's
that one.
Come up
Rangers
before,
Rangers fan, good age, leader in that spine of your team. I would be somebody I would be looking at if I was Rangers.
It's been touted for a long time.
Yeah,
with Kenny
isn't
McLean,
it?
isn't it?
Last summer, big time as well, but you would know more about it. Billy Dodds is with us, Kilmarnock coach. Charlie Mulgrew is here. Quick break, and then we're back.
It's intriguing him coming back to Scotland for an international game at Hampden. Still proving. Well, you go back to Martin O'Neill and him. Yeah. There's life in the old dogs yet, and he's a top man, Dick, and he's like a top coach as well. He just demands high standards. We all know that. A little general for a reason, but when it comes to fairness, he was brutally honest. But I think the honest is the appropriate word there, and how he handled you, and you just wanted to play well for him.
You learned a lot from him, didn't you? I think Barry says that as well.
Yeah. I did, and it was just little movements, subtle movements. He would get the magnetic board up and show you exactly where he wants you. If you didn't do it, you knew about it, and you knew you had to play well to be in his team. As I said, he always said to me, I had one of the best spells in my Rangers career. Scored about 8 goals in 5 games, and he left me out the Sturm Graz game. When he pulled me, he didn't ever pull you, and he said to me, I'll not do my Dutch accent, but he said to me, "You're the only one in my second 11 that show me you want to be in my first," and I just thought, wow. Wow. No, but he was saying, he was meaning the reserve. Pushing you in the team, but he also hit you with an axe at the same time.
So it was a compliment, but it was kind of
backhanded. But Dick demanded standards, and he was he's straight to the point and a really good coach.
Ollie McBurney, is there a case for him? Look, it's gone now anyway. He's not in the squad, but I see Hull City are up. He's been scoring 20 goals this season. Yeah, what do you make of it, Ollie McBurney?
He's probably unlucky he's not in it, but a lot of Scotland fans say, you had the chance before and you never really took it, but he's a more experienced player now. He's scoring goals at championship level in England. But the one thing I would say about Steve Clarke, he's loyal, isn't he, when it comes to who got me there, who was the boys. Apart from Finn Curtis, but he's something different. And that's what Stevie says about him. But most of the boys who did a job in getting Steve Clarke and his team to the World Cup are in his squad, and I totally understand that. And Ollie McBurney, even though he's done brilliantly at championship level, scored a lot of goals, he's just going to have to understand that some people miss out, and he's unlucky, and that the boys and the strikers that are in the squad played a huge part in getting Steve Clarke and his team to the World Cup.
I think he can feel unlucky, definitely, for how well he's done this year, and then obviously with scoring that winner is going to shine light on it again. But I think from Steve Clarke's point of view, he's got to protect the harmony that's in that squad, and I think that know that Ollie McBurney definitely would, but he's had him in there before. He knows what he's got with the players in there. He knows how everybody reacts to no playing. He knows how people understand their roles within that. I think that's a bigger picture for Steve Clarke to protect. And I think he's openly said, or the reports where he's told McBurney, if you're not my number one striker, I don't really want you to be number 2 or 3. That tells you that he doesn't know how he would react to no playing. He doesn't know how it will affect the energy of the squad. And Billy knows it better than me that how important that is to protect the sort of the togetherness of your squad, Scott.
Andy Robertson, big emotional weekend for him. He'll be glad it's out the way now. Out the way is the wrong phrase, Billy, but you know what I mean.
You won it over as a player because it is emotional, and he's connected to Liverpool for years, and you're right, it's just get it out the way because I want to concentrate in the World Cup now.
What a time for him when you think about it. He's 7 or 8 years, Champions League, Champions, Premier League in England, Cups.
The accolades he's won from being at Queen's Park to going to Dundee United, from going to Hull and ended up there. I mean, it just shows you with true desire and determination, with ability, but to get up through the ladder to bigger clubs and still perform gets you all those accolades that he's talking about, and he deserves it because he's been a phenomenon, hasn't he, in terms of what he's achieved. And I mean, he's so likeable because everybody talks how great a lad he is. He's a real team player, and even when he's not been playing, you can see that how big a cult figure he is at Liverpool, and he deserved everything that went his way at the weekend. But as you say, Paul, move on. It's done now. I've had a great time. I've had my emotions. They're all out. Time for to really concentrate in the World Cup.
Another example how a Scottish player can go to even a team like Liverpool and lead. You know, like it's in our nature. It's we spoke about Rangers needing Scottish players. I think that Andy Robertson has shown again that he can go and lead, and what a career he's had. I mean, I've said it before about him, what he's done for the country and then what he's done for Liverpool. Having given the opportunity, a surprise move for Hull, being relegated, Liverpool takes your club, takes a chance, and it just shows you when you get an opportunity what you can do. And full credit to him for his attitude and what he's done.
And the fact that on the last day he was there side by side with Mo Salah, one of the all-time great Liverpool players. I think that'd be fair to say, wouldn't it? And he got his send-off as well. But it was such a special day for them. It
tells you how far Andy Robertson has come, because he probably get the similar sort of send-off as Mo Salah got. So that tells you everything you need to know.
Sure does, doesn't it?
It's an unbelievable story for the tweet he put out saying, I need a job, I'm skint on, and on Twitter 2012, playing for Queen's Park, having been released for Celtic, to then show that desire, the determination, the will to get back in and have a career like he's had is a real fairy tale story, and it tells you everything you need to know about his mentality.
What you could have done. I mean, you did brilliantly, but just think if you'd maybe put a tweet out, you could have gone even further.
It's for any young boy, Paul. I mean,
Yeah.
I spoke about my career as well, and the failures that you have to go through is what people don't see. Andy Robertson's is the best example of that. Being released at 15 for Celtic, and you don't blame MD Celtic for that, because you don't have you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know how he's going to turn out. You don't know about his mentality. You can't get inside his head. But what you do is you make a decision at that time, and then it's up to Andy Robertson. And sometimes when you get these setbacks, it makes you stronger and it makes you more determined. And you never know. His whole motivation could have been, I'm going to prove that guy who released me wrong. And that's what makes you who you are, and that's what gives you the mentality to go and win Champions Leagues, and nothing but admiration for him.
And then when he gets here, he never changes. Do you know, one time I was working for the Beeb in San Marino, sitting in the press room, I went with the engineer for the BBC at the time, we're good friends with him. And we went, because we were going for a beer after it. I says, I'll come to the press conference with you.
Which one?
Colin Stephen.
Great guy.
Great lad. And we go there, and I says, I'll help you, no bother. And Andy did his press conference, and then the way by, all right, Dodgy, how you do? Didn't have to stop, didn't have to give you the time of day, but just made sure he gave you his time. And I thought, nice touch, son.
And so he should. And in parallel, just a few days before, John McGinn, similar story at St Mirren. They'd won the League Cup, as you know, and he was out of contract. And he said, no, I don't want a new contract. He thought he could go to a bigger club, and then he went to Hibs and he won the Cup there. And the rest is history.
Again,
what about that story with John McGinn and Villa last week?
Yeah, again, somebody who's really used the kind of pitfalls and downs in their career and believed in themselves that they could get to a level where they've just went and won a European trophy, captain Aston Villa, a European trophy. 8 years of service there, unbelievable career. What he's done for Scotland, you would never have guessed it when he got brought in the Scotland squad. Gordon Strachan got a bit of stick because he was a Hibs player playing in the Championship, and he was the only Championship player in the squad. But again, great guy amongst the boys. Really, what you find with 99% of Scottish players, any changing room I've been in, the more Scottish players you've got, the better the changing room is, because naturally we're sort of down to earth people. We understand there's a lot of humility there. I don't know what that's down to, but it's definitely a cultural thing.
We like to laugh, but we like to get serious as well. And we're intense, and our football's intense. And I think when people realise that, and you get the right culture, you get the right type of players, your club will look after itself at times.
When we look at the squad, then Billy, we haven't seen you since the squad came out. Overall, it's kind of everyone you would expect, isn't it? We've got some great players in there, and if everyone is
apart
fit,
from Finn and Ross Stewart, they're two that have come from kind of left wing, but I've no problem with them either. And I mean, when you and Charlie are speaking there about Andy Robertson, and then you're talking about John McGinn, it starts getting you excited because we've got a hell of a chance of qualifying out the group here, and you just want to get that. You want to get that over the line, and something we've not done before, and you start getting excited. So you can't help but look forward to it. I'm not saying we're going to win it, but we can certainly get a distance we've never been before.
And Scott McTominay, I mean,
he's got his own the £20 note. He's getting
that's right.
£20 note. He's got his overhead kick on it and everything. Now.
I heard that on the Go Radio News today. Yes, there's only be 100 of them or something like that. Yeah, they'll be pretty rare. £20 notes. Charlie, if it was £100 notes, you would have had plenty of them.
Charlie would try to get a few of them because we'll be worth more than £100 in a few years' time.
Who's going to come through in the squad? I'm just trying to look there to think. We'd love to see Aaron Hickey back at his best as well. You know, because he's
the one for Brentford. For Brentford yesterday. I watched the games coming in last night, match of the day. So he come on, so that's a good sign as well, because he's had his injury problems. Yeah, and we're at right back. It's a position we have to decide who we're going to play there. It's because Nathan Patterson's in it as well, and it's not a secure position that for us, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
Ben Gannon-Doak, we'd love to see him at his best.
That's one with pace that we lack. For all we've spoke up the Scottish culture for all of that. One thing we're no blessed with a lot of times pace. No fast twitching muscles, but listen, Doak's one of them that has, so he's somebody that we need to stretch the game, and I'm really glad to see him fit. Him and Finlay Curtis, I'd love to see they two on the wings and creating stuff for us.
Who starts for the Haiti game up front? We've asked you some of this, Charlie, but
I would go Shankland, but I don't think it will be.
Why not?
Because I don't think my opinion is that Steve Clarke prefers players that do a lot more running off the ball than Lawrence Shankland, whereas I prefer somebody that can hold it in and is much more a goal threat when the chances come his way. But Steve Clarke's the manager and he'll make his choice.
Billy?
Just with going on what Charlie said, and I totally agree. You would think it would be along the likes of, and at the tail end there, it was like Shea Adams starting and Lyndon Dykes coming on. So I can see that kind of sort of start again. Getting the runners in, plenty of energy, getting the job done against Haiti, and then seeing what we can do after that. But you just never know. You never know with Steve Clarke though. He throws in a curveball now and again. But you would think Shea Adams with what's gone before, and a lot of Scotland fans will not like that either. But he's helped us qualify. He's scored some important goals, and he's got that energy. It looks as if for a player that plays at the level as he lacks confidence at times, though, which is weird. But hopefully, he does the business for us.
I've left the goalkeeping position to last, Billy. What do you reckon? Everything's been said. Craig Gordon not playing, but he seems to be fit and he's back. Angus Gunn, Liam Kelly. I think between them 4 first team starts this season.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I think they've all shown that at times when called upon after being idle for a long time, they've all still been spectacular. Craig Gordon, one of the saves he brought off this season, was that at Dundee, was it? When he came on that game? Wow. And then Angus Gunn at times as well, he's just been an understudy, but playing well when he's been asked to play for Scotland. And I can tell you Liam Kelly, when we brought him in last year from the cold, he just performed as if he'd been playing all season. So I think that's a good thing, although it's not ideal that we've shown that we can get goalkeepers and just say, listen, we'll handle the occasion.
Charlie?
I like the fact Craig Gordon's fit. I'd get him in right for the start. I always think that he produces. There's one person that can no play but still have the concentration and the desire and the sort of attitude to training anybody that plays. Craig Gordon, from my experience of playing with him. So yeah, I'd like to see him in goals.
I think the fans have got great confidence in Craig Gordon, but he's not been in that squad as much. Angus Gunn's been in it more.
He'd be the second oldest ever player to play the World Cup.
Indeed. Yeah, I read that last week.
Wild, isn't it?
43. Incredible, Billy. You could come back, get fit and get a few weeks.
43 stone now.
Oh, steady. We're going to bring you team news soon from the Smizer. That's after the
Go Radio Football Show with Scottish Gas.
At this time tomorrow night in the programme, it will be one of our specials. After tonight, Paul McStay will be here. Celtic legend will be with us. And Kevin Kyle will be with us tomorrow night, Charlie.
Some combo that, isn't it?
It certainly is. Big Kevin, I see, was on the open goal at the Hydro.
Big Kevin's a good guy.
He's a cracking big guy, isn't he?
Yep.
Kevin. And of course, Paul McStay.
A big madman, but a good guy.
He's brilliant in here. And Paul McStay, what a player, Billy.
Listen, played against him many a time. My generation, and just silky, just strode past you as if you weren't there at times. But one of the best players you'll ever play against or see.
So he'll be here tomorrow night. I'm telling you that, May the 25th, which quite a few Celtic fans are saying is well done to the Lisbon Lions. Of course, it was 59 years ago today. Celtic became the first British team, the first non-Latin team to win the European Cup, known as the Champions League Cup. Amazing. The Champions Cup. And of course, Jim Craig, we know that Jim has talked about struggling in recent years, in the last few days, with the memory. Jim, all the best to you. Jim was a great colleague, and he was my dentist as well. He was so kind, at Clyde. He was there. He phoned in one day just to make a comment. I said, is that Jim Craig? And then he came on, and he was on with us and with the BBC as well on the telly. So tomorrow night, Paul McStay will be here along with Kevin Kyle.
I've been to Jim Craig as well. As a dentist, right? My wee friend Jerry Cannon was struggling to get my tooth done and took me up to Jim Craig, and he sorted me out.
Yes. The West End, wasn't
Probably
he?
Probably gave me a wee bit sorer than usual. All the Celtic players, okay, we'll treat you tenderly, but ex-Ranger broom.
Different days, wasn't it? He was the full-time dentist. Well, he just trained as a dentist, wasn't he?
I hadn't played with Rangers for him, but he looked after me on a couple of occasions.
Excellent, great family. Of course, Lizzie's wife as well, still there. But people remembering the Lisbon Lions.
What an achievement, Paul.
Sure is. Will it ever happen again? A Scottish team winning a European trophy, far less the big one. I heard John McGinn saying that great to win the trophy last week, but he mentioned about the big one, which is the Champions League. Right, here's the St Mirren team for tonight. Sinclair, Fraser the captain, of course. Gogic saying that I saw him read today. He said, look, we'll stay calm. Freckleton, Richardson, Phillips, who scored on Thursday, Devaney, Campbell, Tanser, Young and Mandron. So that's the starting lineup from St Mirren. Thoughts on it? I'm just getting the Partick Thistle team. Billy, what do you reckon?
It looks like 3-5-2, doesn't it? With Young and Mandron up front. It's getting kind of back to what they know best. They tinkered with a kind of 4-4-2 diamond at times, played from the back, but I think the best chance for St Mirren to remain in the Premiership is get back to what they know best, what got them results earlier on in the season, to win that trophy we're talking about, to get to the semi-final and get so close against Celtic. So back to basics for them, but a strong looking team out.
Alec Gogic. Yeah. What a career he's had, hasn't he?
Him and Marcus Fraser for me. Marcus Fraser's goes under the radar, but he's a right good defender, good player. Gogic, him and Gogic do the simple things really well. They sense danger. Big players. I think they'll need a clean sheet tonight if they're going to go over the line.
Sure. 1-1 from the other night. Here's the starting 11. It's just dropped. So here is the Partick Thistle team: Clark, Redding, Ashcroft, the captain, Samuel, Crawford, Macbeth, Fitzpatrick, of course, who scored, Lowry, McPherson, Stanway back in, and Watt, Tony Watt. So that's the starting 11.
I think if you're Partick Thistle, you with a big reliance on Tony Watt to have a good game tonight. He'll be somebody that needs to that would need to step up. You'd imagine if he had a good game, then Thistle will have a much better chance of winning. He's a handful as a striker, and he'll cause problems to any defenders.
They had some great chances the other night, Billy, didn't they? Partick Thistle.
Honestly, I thought they were slightly the better team. Yeah. They went a goal behind for me against the Ronnie play, and then they rallied, got their goal. They'll be feeling hard done by that. They never took a lead to Paisley, but still well. And I remember a Scottish Cup game this season there when St Mirren looked as if they were cruising 2-0 up, and then Thistle scored and then dominating and nearly equalised. So it's going to be nerve shredded, close, and whoever handles the pressure the best is going to come through.
Mark Wilson, did you play alongside him?
I played with Mark Wilson,
yeah. Same.
You
with
both
Willow,
did, of course. So he tweeted out from the club this afternoon, and there's great pictures of the fans up there in Maryhill leaving from the ground. We've all been joined together this year as a club, and the players really feel that on the pitch. One last collective effort. Wherever you're watching from, we'll have you with us tonight.
Willow's a great boy. He just speaks honestly, doesn't he? So unassuming. You can see him. You actually look at him in the touchline, you're saying, come on, Willow, a wee bit more animated, but it's just he takes everything in his stride.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy. Done. Yeah, he has.
Him and Alex Ray as well, who's played his part.
Do you know the great news? Ian Crocker's the commentator tonight. Croc's the best, is he not?
Right, what's it on?
Man.
It's Sky.
Was it on
Sky?
Yeah.
Sky does the Premiership, the finale.
Okay.
It's nice. The BBC have the earlier games, then Sky just take over for the final one.
He is the best. Did you feel that when?
I've got to say that because he regularly texts me.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
Yes, Crocs.
He came on one of our programmes. I mean, his commentary, see when you play it back, that when Celtic won the title last weekend, listen back and hear it. He's such a great wordsmith, and he doesn't favour one or the other. You know, we talk about neutrals. Well, we now know there's very few in Scotland, very few. People lost their heads, Billy. We'll not go on and on about it tonight.
Include yourself?
No, I think we stayed calm here as we always, you couldn't be on this kind of programme for the number of years. Always try to be fair. Yeah. So Celtic fans will say, you should be more Celtic, and then Rangers fans say, be more Rangers. Well, honestly, try and be fair.
See what's happening.
People lost the plot.
Yeah. Yes.
And by the way, I don't just blame the pundits, because pundits need to be controlled by the editors. They have to be. It's got to be better. Because the narrative was wrong.
Another one is Rory Hamilton, who's for Premier.
He's great, isn't he?
He's brilliant as well, by the way.
He is.
Shout out to him.
Really is.
He's really good.
Does the rugby as well.
Yeah.
I saw him when my nephew was at Ulster. He's a great commentator.
Crocs is even he's even fair because he's an Englishman, obviously, but he's moved up to this country just to be based here because he loves it that much. He loves Scottish football.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I worked with him in Birmingham. That's where he started out, BRMB. He was on doing the Villa and Birmingham and all that. And Walsall, if it was a bad day for him at the Bescot, I always remember that. So
long time ago, was it?
Yeah, we took a format that we developed here in Glasgow and we took it and used it down there when Capital bought. And
it worked.
But I had same music and everything. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes.
You talk about Walsall there. I remember when I was at Wolves and I was trying to get a loan move. And I just wanted to move close. My wife was pregnant at the time, and Walsall was just down the road. So I said to my agent, Walsall had showed an interest. I said to my agent, can you speak to Walsall? And obviously, you're a young player trying to make your way in a game. You're not getting much value to agents, but my agent phoned me back and says, listen, I've got a book here with all the team's numbers on them. My W page is missing. Can you get the Walsall? Can you get the Walsall number for me?
But easy for me to be good for you,
well.
Final words to the winners of the Scottish Cup and the runner-up as well. Neil Lennon spoke about it. Big rebuild to come there at Dunfermline. What a season it's been for them. The game itself, there were moments where they made it tough for Celtic, but Celtic, as you would expect, won. I think part of it was, Billy, were you surprised last year in the cup final? Celtic went in as racing favourites, but then they lost. So you get the impression that Callum McGregor was determined not to lose again at Hampden, having lost the League Cup final.
We talked about the standard setting, and he realises how tough a season it's been. Never mind losing to Aberdeen in the final last year. They get over the line somehow against Hearts to win the Premiership, which never looked likely. And you could see Callum was never going to give up the double just by the standards he set right from the start of the game. It was one of those sunny days that Celtic could have just gone, yeah, we'll move it about till we get our goal, we'll win it easily. But he made sure with that first half performance that he practically made it an easy second half for Celtic, and they were never going to give up that opportunity after winning the league. I mean, if you'd said to me Celtic they're going to win the double, I don't even know, a few months ago I'm saying no chance. No chance.
After the Dundee
somehow they
United
got
game,
there.
of course. And Maeda, maybe his last goal as a Celtic player, but you mentioned him earlier, he's been phenomenal.
He's been brilliant. He had a wee lull when he was looking to move, which you can understand because he'd totally packed up and ready to go, and he got told he wasn't moving last minute. So you can understand that, but he fought back well, and we said it here that if he wants his move, he needs to turn up for Celtic, and he's done that. Gets his goal, great finish, takes it really well, plays well again, and it's probably his last game.
Arnie Engels as well. We don't know. We'll talk about it no doubt tomorrow. We'll ask Paul McStay what he thinks of it, and Kevin Kyle. Last word with Martin O'Neill, and he was paying tribute to the man who was one of his protégés, Neil Lennon.
Oh, no, really nice. Lennon, listen, this is not, or shouldn't be a mutual admiration society. I love him. And tell you, he's a wee fat lump, but but I love him because he's great. He's pulled me out of the quagmire at Leicester City. He did, honestly, and then went on to be a big player for us in the next 3 or 4 years. I take him to Celtic. Fantastic, really fantastic. Major part in proceedings.
He certainly was, wasn't he? There's always there's a bit of humour there from Martin O'Neill.
There always is. We fat lump, kind of beat them. But it was typical Martin, wasn't it? It was a wee joke to then give him his full accolade, and deservedly so.
Final word, Partick Thistle, you think tonight?
Honestly, I can't call it. I can't call it.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to a right good game, though.
Charlie?
Narrow victory.
Thistle. For Thistle. That's it from us. Thanks so much, Billy and Charlie. Charlie, we'll see you next week. Billy, enjoy a summer break.
Thank you.
Please come back in the new season.
Oh, I will.
And tomorrow night, Kevin Kyle will be here at 5 along with Paul McStay. Have a great evening.